and they did it by getting a veteran at the spot. Hopefully he can add some...
Former Panther.
I was just say, classic. Hit all the...
Yep. Veteran
What's
experience.
that called? Hit the... Play the hits.
Play the hits.
Oh my God. I swear
Guys.
Buffalo Plus, your interactive look at the week in football, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel presented by Connors and Ferris. Dan Fates, I'm Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy our content. I feel sugar high today.
Yeah, I was going to say, Halloween?
Halloween.
Little post-Halloween buzz?
As I say, Halloween
Not
definitely.
high.
Not high. Just sugar high.
Sugar high.
Okay, all right, let's talk about practice.
Yeah.
We'll start with the big picture stuff. Well, Josh Allen
Did
not practice today, dealing with the shoulder injury. McDermott originally said this morning he was listed as questionable.
Yeah.
Not questionable. I keep doing this. Limited to practice. Allen was not out there. What do you make of that?
Slightly concerning. I think it goes back to, he was also asked if this was something that flared up or is this just where he is.
Yeah.
I think this is where he's going to be for a little bit now.
I agree.
I mean, this is what we've heard. It's a pain tolerance thing. Josh did admit that when he went in the blue tunnel, we talked about it after the game on Thursday night, Friday morning, that he was concerned. And that, look, he is going to be dealing with this to some respects. It was a cold day outside.
Yes.
There was no real point of him practicing. He did this at the end of last year where he pretty much didn't throw all week and then kind of went into the game. So concerning in the sense of it's not getting better, but I don't think this is getting worse in something that is going to hinder the offense, if that makes sense.
I agree. I think it's just the Bills being smart.
Yeah.
They're being conservative.
And that's what Josh said.
Yeah, and that's something that I think is important. I will say, when we first got out there, it's like, where's Josh?
Yes.
That's always a concern, but at the same point, I think the Bills are trying to take the long-term approach, making sure that Allen is not wasting, not to say wasting, but at the same point, not taking unnecessary reps if he doesn't need to be. He was behind Kyle Allen after the portion of media practice that we can't watch, going through the mental reps he talked about. So I think I agree with you. I am concerned. I'm not alarmed. I think this is just a thing to monitor. And
4 on the panic worry scale.
Yeah, 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
Yeah.
1 not worried, 10 this is bad. I'd say 4.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And with due time and seeing how the direction of the season goes, that will dictate things. But I think that also that little bit of the mini buy, the rest that they got, definitely was huge. All right, we talked to Brandon Beane today. NFL trade deadline wrapped up. Rasul.
You got it.
Douglas. Well, last time who did
enemy.
who did I say the name wrong the entirety of the video?
Kirksey,
yeah. So Rasul Douglas,
Yep.
a cornerback from the Packers coming in. Bills also signed Leonard Fournette, the running back, playoff Lenny.
Yep.
Beane also talked today just at length about this team and how he still believes in them.
And specifically still believes in Kaiir Elam. But he was very candid. I think we've asked Sean McDermott a lot of the things about on the field, why Kaiir isn't playing, and obviously it seemed to reach a tipping point when Josh Norman is active, Kaiir isn't. Put your antennas up. Kaiir has a nagging ankle injury.
Yes.
Brandon Beane says that the team is debating on whether or not they would shut him down to have surgery, to have him
go on IR.
They pretty much are saying the next time they want him on the field is for him to be physically 100%.
Yeah.
Now
I was like, that's convenient.
Convenient.
Personal opinion.
We also heard a lot about Gabe Davis's ankle last year. We also heard a lot about Spencer Brown. They will defend their guys.
I think this is different.
I believe that Brandon Beane was honest, hasn't played how he wants to play.
Yeah, he said hasn't been perfect.
Hasn't been perfect, all of those things. Still has faith in him. Said there was zero interest in trading him at the deadline. He was asked, did you lean towards were there any feelings of that? He said 0, no 3 times. The fact that they have been looking for weeks to find a corner, which is what he said about Rasul Douglas, they've actually been working at this for quite some time, and they've been looking for a corner since Trey White went out, isn't a ringing endorsement of Kaiir. And they said when he got on the field, it wasn't good. Like he didn't mince his words there.
Yeah.
He is seeing what we're seeing, and that is a young player that is struggling. But he goes back to young. He's a young player. He's 24. Sometimes it takes players some time to get used to it. He said that he used the example of Rasul Douglas, actually.
Yeah.
He said that he struggled in Philly, didn't really latch on in Carolina, kind of bounced around. Now he's playing really well with Green Bay. Like I said, some guys it takes
a little
2,
bit of
3,
time.
4 years.
Yeah. I think Brandon Beane is a very smart man.
Mm-hmm.
And he acknowledged the fact that it wasn't perfect. Also bringing up the ankle injury is something to note.
Yes.
I think what he's saying makes sense, but also what he's done makes sense and can see, kind of where he's at in terms of signing Josh Norman, bringing in Rasul Douglas. I don't think he wants to give up on Kaiir, but at the same point, I think you know what you have at this moment, and he's not good enough to be on the field. He's obviously been inactive on game days.
Yeah.
And I think this is the Bills trying to buy themselves a little bit of time, getting him another veteran in the room, seeing if he can develop, get healthy as well.
Yeah.
And also, I'm sorry, I know some people are like, well, trading Kaiir, I get it, but like, what are you going to get? You're not going to get nearly enough of what you wanted, considering you moved up in the first round to get him.
And being added that Kaiir can still play, I'm hopeful he's done everything. He says he's not sulking, he's trying to rehab, he's trying to get all these things back on the field. But he admitted that like he has no confidence.
Yeah.
He said that you can't. This game will take away your confidence. He's like, we have to get his confidence back up. That's tough. And I'm not trying to sound disingenuous or apologetic or things like that, but it's a big boy game.
Yeah.
And like failure happens, and you can fail, but as a cornerback, especially, you have to have short-term memory. As a quarterback, you have to have short-term memory. If you fumble the ball as a running back, you have to have short-term memory and the confidence that you can go back out there. He's pretty open that Kaiir doesn't have that, which is something.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense considering the way he's played. I think Kaiir has done a good job of always answering to us, the media. He's at moments where we've asked him to talk. I don't know if I would have talked, but Kaiir has talked, so I will give him that. But he hasn't been good enough, and that's obvious. And the Bills made moves around that to try to shield themselves from having him back out on the field. You hope it clicks at some point, but you just don't know. So I think the Bills are trying to reinforce that corner position, and they did it by getting a veteran at the spot. Hopefully he can add some...
Former Panther.
I was just say, classic. Hit all the...
Yep. Veteran
What's
experience.
that called? Hit the... Play the hits.
Play the hits.
Oh my God. I swear
Guys.
I'm actually smarter than this. It's kind of embarrassing. But yes, I think for this team, always glad when Beane talks. Always nice, always informative. And he did talk about a guy like Rasul Douglas. I'll get there. I will get there.
We are hanging on by a thread here, folks. He talked about he's very instinctive.
Yeah.
And he talks about how even when that is something that they looked for, picking a guy up at the deadline, that like there are some things you just can't be taught. And he's a guy is always around the ball, has ball skills, they said, and able to make plays on it. I think that's big. We saw him do it in Buffalo last year on Sunday Night Football, had an interception, involved. Again, this is a guy that, from what I was talking about yesterday with Mike, we kind of did a short blog and the audio crapped out, but I saw somebody tweet out that he's the most Buffalo Bill player, not a Bill. That like it makes perfect sense. And you hear the Bills media or the Packers media rave about him as a vocal leader and such a smart guy. So I think it makes a lot of,
locker room guy,
makes a lot of sense.
All those things. I completely agree, and I think it's someone that has the experience and can help kind of lead this young group of cornerbacks. And two, I mean, I think that look, Brandon Beane said they tried to reach out. They reached out to the Packers a week ago. The Packers didn't want to budge, and then they were able to get the deal done yesterday before the deadline. So it makes sense. They want a guy that has that veteran experience. He's won a Super Bowl. He's kind of been someone that can steady the ship, and the Bills are looking for that.
Same with Leonard Fournette, who we got to see today in shorts.
Yeah.
That were
short.
They were short.
They were short.
And it was cold.
It was so cold.
Well, he was wearing shorts. I keep calling them shorts. I don't know they were underwear. It was football pants that had been cut very short. We also had Jordan Phillips in a parka. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Jordan Phillips puffy coat season.
I love it.
Buckle up.
I was going to say.
But Leonard Fournette, I think the one thing that was very interesting, and everybody talked about it, back in 2018, Fournette was with the Jaguars. He was part of a big fight on the sidelines of that game with Shaq Lawson. Both players were ejected. when the Bills were talking about bringing him back, a lot of the videos popped up. We all had a good laugh about it. Like, oh, how does this work when you go back in the locker room?
When you walk into the locker room, do you go find Shaq and say, like,
Nah,
hey, what's going on, man?
you know what's funny though? Our first time me and Shaq was last summer, since we fought in 2018, and we just laughed about it. Yeah, we laughed about it, man. That's all.
Who do you think came out on top in that scrum?
Well, I told him I won, but it's cool, I guess. But it is what it is.
I'm sure Shaq will never not talk about it. I'm sure he's quiet, right?
Nah, he y'all know how he is, but he's cool though. I like Shaq. He's cool.
You think that these guys like hate each other on the field, which I'm sure they
Some
do.
of them do. But
I'm sure they do. Like we joke around about Josh Allen and Christian Wilkins.
Yeah.
Like, but if Wilkins were to come on the team, he'd be like, well, at least we got this guy. Like,
Yeah.
this is great. Like,
Yeah.
he's not gonna have to punch me anymore. So
Yeah.
it was funny. Jordan Phillips added that fight was the factor in the Bills winning the game because Fournette got kicked out. And
Yeah.
he goes, if Fournette was still in that game, there's no way we win. He goes, so we won the fight because Fournette got kicked out and we won the game. That was great.
No, I think Fournette had some personality today. You got to talk to him, and obviously some personality out on the field, considering the fight, these shorts. We asked Micah Hyde about it, like, what do you make of those shorts? He's like, he knew the weather was going to be. He wanted to say he was tough, and he proved it today because it was cold.
We asked him, like, why Buffalo? Is it because they're a winning team? And he goes, I've been in the South and in the Southeast most of my career. Just wanted to come up north. Just wanting snow and miserable
Just-
weather.
I was not expecting it to be this cold today.
No, it was bad.
Yeah. What's it
wanted
supposed
to
to be
be-
like in Cincy?
Pretty nice.
Nice?
No precipitation
Okay.
and like low 50s probably for kickoff.
Where would you say is the mood level of this team heading into Cincy? Because I feel like the last couple
There's
weeks
two- well, there's
it's
two
been
moods.
lower.
There's two moods. So you're going there, coming off a mini bye,
Yeah.
playing better, coming off, scoring 24 points, which felt like 50, the way that they moved the ball down the field against the Bucs, getting a win, feeling like everything was kind of back in order. And then you also have the factor of the Bengals are playing extremely well right now. Joe Burrow looks healthy. They are coming off of their bye the week before. They just blew out the 49ers. And then you have the DeMar. And you have all of that.
Yes.
And Brandon Beane talks about, like, you're trying to keep everything in focus and you're trying to keep the football game the main thing, but they're human. Jordan Phillips, a lot of guys, we asked pretty much everybody about it. They all don't know how it's going to impact them.
I don't know. I think that's something where you kind of, not that you don't think about it, but you prepare mentally, and then when in the moment you're actually on the field, it could hit you differently.
Personally, I think it's going to be weird. Like,
Yeah,
me
you were
personally,
there.
Like,
Yeah.
I was there. So, like, it is weird to think about going back to Cincinnati, the place where, we saw somebody die. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so... And I go back to thinking about what DeMar said during training camp. And we asked him about, like, is there ever, putting on pads? Is there a return to normalcy? I remember DeMar being like, there's no such thing as normal anymore.
I get that, yeah.
We try and make this a football game. It's not a normal football game for the Bills to go to Cincinnati. It just won't be. You can
It
try
won't be for a while.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Definitely
especially for
not
this-
the first time back.
Especially this team. So I think it's another level. And again, the player said, Dane Jackson said the defensive backs have had discussions about it. DeMar was out today with flu-like symptoms. He was not at practice. Apparently his message to the team pretty much, they've talked about it, they've addressed it, is just get a win.
Yeah.
Who knows if DeMar will even play? He's been inactive because of football decisions. Like, this isn't an emotional thing.
Yeah, and Sean McDermott reinforced that today. Also, Brandon Beane talked about we have a lot to be thankful for
Yep.
and a lot to be proud of. And I think kind of coming back or going back to Cincinnati will kind of put a full circle moment on what happened. And while it was so scary, the good that came out of it as well with CPR training and so much more awareness about it. And I think this team really grew so much closer through the experience. And let's not forget how good DeMar is
Yes.
doing. The fact that he's returned to football,
Yep.
has been out on the field, obviously not today with the sickness, but at the same point, it's a huge moment.
It's been really nice. And I mean this in the best way.
Yeah, that we don't have to, yes. Yeah,
That-
so we
that-
don't have to keep talking about it because there's that sense of a little
DeMar again.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
he has the sense, and I remember when players were asked about it Monday night game, and they're like, "Yeah, it's DeMar. Like,
Yeah.
DeMar's fine. Like, we're fine. Like,
Which was
we're
great.
again." And you
Best
are moving past
case
it. Yes.
scenario, yeah.
Everybody's trying to move past it. This will, though, trigger emotions
Yeah.
because you're going back to the place. It was one thing when DeMar played, when Poyer was out and some of those things. It's a whole nother level. Whether or not he's dressed, things like that, it will be emotional, how the players handle it. But Jordan Phillips made a good point. He said, DeMar's going to have to deal with it. He goes, I'm more focused on the fact that the Bengals have kicked our ass the last 2 times. Like,
He's not wrong.
Sean McDermott, borderline testy today at his
Yeah.
press conference. I think he knows what a challenge they have in front of them. And we will get a chance. We're recording this after practice. We'll have the podcast on Thursday. We want that to be more looking ahead moving forward. This Bengals team's really damn good,
Yeah.
playing at a really high level. So make sure to tune into the podcast. Wherever you listen to all of your podcasts, we'll have that up
Yes.
later on Thursday.
All your audio podcasts.
But yeah,
Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
Stitcher.
Stitcher, all those places. Yeah, I think that's a perfect place to wrap it up. We'll have the podcast going up on Thursday. That'll be live for Dan Fates.
we'll monitor Josh Allen.
Yeah, always. We'll make sure
Always.
he's. Hopefully, the plan is, Alan said, for him to practice on Thursday. That's obviously going to be a decision that is made on Thursday, but I think that goes to show, seems like this is, again, something they're being conservative about,
Yep.
wanting to take the long-term approach. All right, for Dan, I'm Jenna. Please be sure to comment your
Excitement level with Douglas and Fournette.
love it.
Bill's
Yes.
making moves.
Yes, love it. All right.
Big baller bean.
Yes, thank you for
And also,
watching.
like I said, we did tweet out some clips and things like that from practice on X, Twitter. You can go there to see Puffy Coat, Rasul Douglas giving handshakes, his introduction to
Sean McDermott.
in the process,
Yeah.
as well as Leonard Fournette's shorts.
Okay, bye. Not high. Not high.